think it's a little bit.
Is there public speaking?
Public speakers.
I
get 5 minutes.
Okay, wow, 5 minutes.
One of this, that's what it's for.
Is that you on the?
On the commission. On the commission. Now, we're going to discuss the use of health. We are trying to make the implementation better.
Yeah.
And then you're fast.
I don't think I've ever really looked at properties. Yes. So, all right. I've heard it in court. That's the very beginning, guys. So it's all part of the law.
So we're trying to a lot. That's what the chief and everything. It's just okay. And I said the chief told the chief yesterday. In fact, it was huge discussion. But I actually was living to your podcast. I was listening to this. I don't know why.
Mayor? Governor, how are you? How are you? Good, thank you.
Good to see you. You doing well? Good to see you. I think we have everyone. Okay, well, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. We are incredibly pleased in the city of Rockford that Governor Pritzker has joined us yet again. I've actually lost track of the number of times that he's joined our community, really just since COVID. It's just been phenomenal, the outreach that him and his office and the state has had with our local government and our local government partners. I'm joined today by Governor Pritzker, by Dr. Lisa Bly-Jones, and by Senator Stottleman. So just to kick this off, it really doesn't seem like all that long ago that earlier this year, in the good days, pre-COVID, we held a press conference announcing in this very building the submission of our WIOA Regional and Local Workforce Plan to DCEO. As chair of the Elected Officials Board, I take great pride in the work that our local workforce board does every single day to serve our citizens. And we're fortunate that we have Frank Rotello, who is the chair of the board overall and the CEO of Alpha Control. So thank you for your leadership as well, Frank. The funds for our local workforce area residents, just to remind everyone, serves Winnebago, Boone, and Stevenson counties. I have to tell you, when I have the opportunity to get out and visit with businesses, the number one concern that businesses have is workforce development, ensuring that their existing employees are getting trained up and have the opportunities to move forward, and also ensuring that their new hires have the training that's so essential to them building a successful career right here in Rockford. And the Workforce Connection Board does a tremendous job with all of their partner organizations, including Rock Valley College and Goodwill of Northern Illinois, to help us get our employees, future and current, up to par for our local employers. I have watched the Workforce Connection be incredibly proactive and responsive to unemployment trends of individuals and our area employers, and I got to say they do that not just during a global pandemic. They've done that for years in regular economic times, and our local employers are grateful for the work that they do. Pursuing these additional funds from the Employment Recovery Act is really yet another demonstration of them being being proactive. I got to say, Governor Pritzker, who I'll have the opportunity to introduce, one of the things that has really been the best, I think, when you look at across the country. We are really fortunate, and I can understand people from different political spectrums have frustrations here or there, but when you look at overall the proactiveness and the actual understanding from leadership that we are on a parallel track. We have to ensure that our health metrics are down and that we're slowing the spread of COVID-19. But at that same time, we have to be proactive when it comes to stabilizing and coming out more resurgent than ever from an economic standpoint. And we're fortunate that we have Governor Pritzker, who understands the importance of both of those and is working diligently and proactively on both of those. So it's really my honor to introduce Governor Pritzker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thanks to the mayor, especially I want to say thanks to the mayor for his leadership style, his leadership manner, the way that he has kept this city safe and has focused on making sure that we're building up every opportunity that we can for the people of Rockford. I just could not imagine a better partner at the city level across the state of Illinois than someone like Tom McNamara. And I just, many times he and I have spoken on the phone, and there's not a moment that he wastes in advocating for Rockford. And I really mean that. Even when I was a candidate, he said, "You got to promise me that you're going to deliver for this city." And when I became governor, he said, "Remember, we need help for our airport. We need help for Amtrak service. We need help for," and I have to say over and over again, very, very impressive. So I just wanted all of you to know what a great leader you have here. The same goes for Senator Stottleman, who, you know, in the what seems like a lifetime ago, last year in the session in Springfield, over and over again, Senator Stottleman reiterated what were the necessary functions to bring to Winnebago County, to Rockford, and he's been a great, great partner to work with at the state level, and I'm just frankly very grateful for the opportunity to work with somebody like that in Springfield. He's an experienced old hand at this point. I'm the new guy with a year and a half under my belt, and so thank you for your leadership, Senator. In July, it was my pleasure to be here to celebrate 100 new youth summer employment program jobs right here in Rockford. And that same day, I announced a state commitment to secure millions of dollars in funding for the Rockford International Airport. The month before that, we got together at the Rock River Valley YMCA Children's Center to announce $270 million to support Illinois child care providers. Even when times are hard, and frankly, especially when times are hard, we have to invest in the things that lift up working families and lift up our communities. And we gather today to celebrate yet another such effort. I'm proud to announce that there's a new $16.6 million investment to expand job opportunities for Illinoisans who have become unemployed in the COVID-19 pandemic, to place, train, and hire nearly 1,300 people for an array of jobs in Rockford and across the state of Illinois. This federal funding, made possible by the Department of Labor's Employment Recovery and Disaster Recovery grant programs, will help us address a goal for reinvigorating our economy that's twofold: returning more of our residents to the jobs that they know, and also simultaneously addressing new economic demands brought on by COVID-19. Already, Illinois' network of local workforce centers have been performing life-changing work. You know that right here. In 2019 alone, more than 26,000 Illinois residents participated in federally funded workforce training programs to help them get back on their feet. So when the COVID-19 pandemic disrupted life as we know it, I directed the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity in the state of Illinois to find new and creative ways to pursue every possible dollar for workforce development, giving these agencies the resources necessary to scale their services to better meet the demands that have been created by COVID-19. From Madison County to Lake County to Winnebago County to Cook County, our network of workforce centers represents every corner of our state and will bring important resources to communities experiencing the devastating effects of COVID-19. This includes training unemployed and underemployed Illinoisans for new and existing roles, many of which have been created as a result of COVID-19, like contact tracers, like COVID-19 protocol workers, building sanitization workers, something relatively new, temperature screeners, and food preparation and distribution workers, and so many more. While these roles cross many different industries, what they have in common is that all of them help in our statewide mission of sustaining our aggressive response to the ongoing pandemic. In addition to helping fill in-demand jobs, these investments give preference to unemployed and low-wage workers in communities most impacted by COVID-19, affording them positions that pay a prevailing wage. I want to thank the Workforce Connections Executive Director, Lisa Bly-Jones, who I'll introduce in a moment, and her entire team, these wonderful people who do so really just life-changing work for people and so meaningful to us. And the kind of progress that you make possible for people is worthy of a significant recognition. The investments that I'm announcing today are just one part of our broader COVID-19 economic response, which has included everything from small business grants and loans to renter and mortgage assistance, help with household utilities, free online training and certification courses, and a significant expansion of apprenticeship programs. The place where all of these initiatives can be accessed is the new Get Hired Illinois website. That's for those of you who want to access any of the programs that I just mentioned and the one that we're announcing today. Illinois.gov/gethired. Illinois.gov/gethired, which on that site features tens of thousands of jobs, hundreds of employer booths, and dozens of virtual job fairs and other opportunities to connect with Illinois employers in real time, jobs that are available right now. Illinois job seekers can learn more about the 1,300 positions that we're announcing today by visiting that very same website. While these initiatives are a big step forward in supporting many residents left unemployed and underemployed by the crisis, we know that it's frankly not enough to fully address the depths of the current challenges facing many of our out-of-work Illinoisans today and for the economy at large. And so we won't stop fighting, not until our work is done. From DCEO to IDPH to local health departments and local workforce agencies across the state, I promise to leave no stone unturned in combating this virus, in returning Illinoisans to work, and most importantly, in keeping our residents safe. So I want to thank you very much, all of you, for joining us today. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to the illustrious Executive Director of the Workforce Connection, Lisa Bly-Jones. Doctor?
Good morning. I'm Dr. Lisa Bly-Jones, Executive Director of the Workforce Connection Board serving Boone, Stevenson, and Winnebago counties. Governor Pritzker, last year we were planning a workforce symposium. You're right, it seems like a lifetime ago. And we were working really hard to figure out how to get you to be our keynote speaker. The Workforce Symposium was going to be centered around your 5-year economic plan and our WIOA regional and local plan. And then COVID hit. So in my mind, this is my version of a micro symposium with a couple of added bonuses. One, it just happens to be Workforce Development Month, and the fact that the governor is here with us is noteworthy all by itself. The other bonus is the additional funding that we'll receive to serve our dislocated residents in our region. I am elated and super excited to be here today. Local workforce boards across the country are certified by each state's governor to oversee the public workforce system. These boards serve as the strategic leader and convener of local workforce development system stakeholders, with the board chair being a business representative. In the state of Illinois, there are 22 local workforce boards that represent boots on the ground to address local workforce matters across the state. We are a public resource, which means we're here for those who need us when they need us. We receive federal funds through the State of Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity to address workforce development and have the responsibility of executing on the best laid plans to get people trained, skilled, and employed. It's our responsibility to understand the local landscape, the barriers individuals may face as they seek employment, and see the possibilities that exist when people receive wraparound services that support them as they achieve significant milestones on their journey, from training to receiving industry-related credentials and on to employment. During a time when individuals find themselves unemployed through no fault of their own, we want to support them as they change careers. We want to connect regional residents to opportunities and connect employers with trained and skilled employees. When DCEO receives additional funds based on devastating circumstances, local workforce boards are poised and prepared to utilize the funds for the greatest impact based on our intimate knowledge of our local landscapes related to career seekers and employers' job openings. The industries hit the hardest in our local workforce area were leisure, hospitality, and manufacturing, specifically auto and aerospace. However, while some subgroups within the manufacturing industry saw deep declines, there were others who saw growth, like food processing and manufacturing medical devices. This really is a time to ignite innovation. I recently visited one of our local employers, IMA in Loves Park, and they were excited to partner with us as they ramp up to meet the recent demands to increase production as they build turnkey solutions for their customers. These employment recovery grant funds will be used for short-term training programs that are less than 12 months in length, computer numerical control training, otherwise known as CNC, is one for individuals who may be looking to move into another area of manufacturing and want to upgrade basic skills and further develop their digital literacy to fit into the world of advanced manufacturing. When we think about transferable skills and individuals changing paths, becoming a certified medical assistant is another training that offers a step onto a career pathway in healthcare. With extensive experience serving dislocated workers, we know that oftentimes they are eager to return to work. They don't always want to go through formal training. And for those individuals, we will leverage our relationships with regional employers and offer on-the-job training and paid work experiences. We work on both sides of the equation as it relates to supply and demand. So I am honored to be here with the governor, the mayor, and State Senator Steve Stottleman. And without further ado, I'll turn it over to State Senator Stottleman.
Thank you so much, Lisa, and I appreciate what you and your staff do every day here at the Workforce Connection, making sure people have the job-ready skills they need to compete and make our community be able to compete with other communities as well. So thank you very much. Great to see the governor. He is a very familiar face. I think he's averaging maybe a trip every couple weeks here to Rockford the past few months, and that's good news because whenever he comes, he usually has good news to announce, and that certainly is the case today. This is a very, very important announcement. We've been coping, as you know, with the coronavirus pandemic for 6 or 7 months now, and unfortunately it will have a lasting impact on the future of work in this community, across the state, and across the country as well. Even before the current crisis, changing technologies we're changing the way we work, disrupting work habits and patterns, and changing the skills that employees need to do those jobs. So this change is happening already, and certainly with the pandemic, that's accelerated that change and forced us to make those, forced us to adapt and have that willingness to adapt and added urgency to that situation. Workers must figure out how they can respond to this pandemic and that rapidly changing work environment, and of course companies have to figure out how to match workers with these new skills that are required. So to meet this challenge, state government must and is stepping up with partners such as the Workforce Connection to make sure that employees have these needed skills. And again, as we try to recover economically, as we try to contain the virus, this is incredibly important to making sure that we recover economically in this community and across the state as well. So those are my remarks. I just wanted to bring Governor Pritzker back to the podium for any questions the media may have.
Thank you very much, Senator. Let me just, before I take questions, one last thing I want to remind everybody of. We have 20 days left in our census count, 20 days. And the good news is that we're running second among all the states in the nation, among the most populous states in terms of our response rate, 7th overall among states, but we can do better. And we have 20 days to do it. And there's so many people in undercounted communities, so many people that haven't gone online yet to get counted in our census. So here's how you do it. It's really simple. If you have your mobile phone with you, you could do it right now. And that's go to my2020census.gov. That's it, my2020census.gov. And you'll get asked a few questions. It literally takes less than 10 minutes, for many people less than 5 minutes. And I want to encourage you to go online, do that right now. And with 20 days left, I'm encouraging everybody. I'm a competitive sort. I want Illinois to be #1. And so let's go do that and get that done. All right? And having said that, I'm happy to take questions from members of the media.
Governor, you mentioned $16.6 million in federal funds being allocated. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Do you know specifically how much to Workforce Connection here in this area?
I don't actually. Dr. Blythe-Jones probably knows the exact number.
Our amount is over $600,000 for this particular grant, which is separate from our other dislocated funds. So this is specific to the disaster as it relates to COVID, which is a separate fund.
Sure. And how many people do you think that $600,000 can serve?
We estimate it as 75, again, depending on which training an individual selected or is best suited for.
And you said short-term training, like 12 months or fewer?
12 months or less, yep. And as I also pointed out, we also work with our regional employers so that if an individual wants to gain work experience, they have some skills, and the employer is willing to work with them, they can upskill, and then they're able to get their work experience from that on-the-job training.
We have reported this week that there is somewhat of a skills gap that might also be kind of adding to, I guess, the unemployment rate we're seeing. Do you see this maybe addressing some of that skills gap?
Should never have stepped up.
So the skills gap, I would say, as a result, and I think Senator Stottleman mentioned it, as it relates to digital literacy and the changes that are taking place, we see it in even our entry-level positions where there is certified medical assistant or even nursing assistants where now you have to use the technology. In addition to just writing, you need to have those technical skills to be able to navigate technology, to even be able to put the patient's symptoms and their medications into the database or the system that the employer is using or the healthcare provider is using.
And I'll just add, just to give you a reprieve, I'll just add that on a longer-term basis, as you know, STEM and STEAM education in our high schools is particularly important for helping to address that skills gap and making sure that we're raising up a workforce that will be ready for the jobs of tomorrow. And so we've made investments through our State Board of Education as well as in other ways to try to advance those education opportunities for young people.
Governor?
Yes.
You,
Hi.
In your campaign platform, you strongly gave the idea that one of your biggest plans was to bring jobs back to Illinois.
That's right.
Rockford in particular is a very industry-driven environment. We have aerospace, we have the airport, but there are people that are going to hear about this grant and say, okay, that's great, but when am I going to feel this? When am I going to know that I'm better than what I'm feeling right now? What would you say to those people that may be concerned?
Well, let me begin answering that question by simply saying that I know many, many people are suffering as a result of COVID-19, the crisis that we're facing, the economic circumstance that has come with that, with the loss of 191,000 people from the United States and 8,400 people in the state of Illinois, not to mention the people who've been sick, the fact that we've had diminished opportunity for people because the virus is still among us and we have no national strategy assisting states. That has all had a terribly deleterious effect on jobs and growth. So we're fighting that every day, right? We're fighting against a tide that's been working against us in terms of our economic growth opportunities. Meanwhile, we're nevertheless, underneath all of that, working very hard to create new opportunities. So skills training allows people to get better paying jobs and allows them to fit the jobs that already exist. And as I said, there are literally tens of thousands of jobs that are available right now in the state of Illinois that people may not have already accessed and may not have the skill today to do it, but that's why you have Workforce Connection. That's why we're investing in these kinds of programs. We want people to be able to fit into the jobs that exist. We're also assisting employers. I want to say that I helped to push through, and Senator Stottleman supported, a tax credit for workforce training in companies, right? Getting the apprenticeship within a company, learning on the job, being able to earn and learn at the same time. That's something that's a very important component of getting people more opportunity. So beyond that, of course, I'm also working to attract industry businesses to the state of Illinois. So there are new jobs that'll compete for you in the workforce and for you to get a better wage. And so we're making the kinds of investments that will attract. One example of that, the major capital bill that is already being implemented in the state of Illinois. If you're a business, you want to be in a place that's investing in its infrastructure. We're one of the few states that has a major infrastructure plan that we're investing in now for airports, for highways. If you're in logistics or transportation, that's a terrific thing. Any other kind of business, you want roads and bridges and waterways and airports that are, up and functioning, that are modern. And those kinds of investments are part of what we're using to attract new businesses. And I'll make one last pitch about some very forward-thinking investments that we made. I don't know if any of you paid attention to the fact that about a week or two ago, the Federal Department of Energy awarded 2 major quantum computing grants to the state of Illinois, actually to Argonne National Laboratory, Fermi, and the University of Chicago and University of Illinois. Collectively, there were 2 major Energy Department grants focused on quantum computing and 2 artificial intelligence grants that went to the University of Illinois specifically, also focused on quantum. For those of you who don't know what quantum computing is, I'm not going to give a seminar on it right now, and it is complicated. But suffice to say that those investments give us the opportunity to become the Silicon Valley of the future. This is the only state that got 4 grants in quantum computing, focused on building this new industry that's going to replace everything that you hear about that came out of Silicon Valley. This is going to replace. Quantum computing there's going to be a quantum internet. That's going to replace everything that you think of as the internet today. And so I just want to point out that we're really, in every one of these array of opportunities, we're trying to build up jobs for the state of Illinois and make it the best place in the country for people to move to live in, for businesses to be in.
Time for 2 more questions.
Governor, there's an essay in today's Chicago Tribune from Ken Griffin from Citadel in opposition to the so-called fair tax. And he says, in part, promoted under the clever marketing guise as a fair tax, what they're advancing is nothing more than a graduated tax scheme engineered to extract the greatest amount of money possible from Illinois taxpayers, and the ones who will be most affected are the ones who cannot readily leave. What's your response to that?
People have been leaving Illinois because it has a flat tax, because we have an unfair tax system. Middle-class families, working-class families get up and leave this state because they're being treated unfairly. The wealthiest people in our state have, frankly, been subsidized by the middle class and the working class. All we're trying to do is level the playing field in Illinois with all the other states out there, so many of which have an income tax that is a graduated income tax. And, by the way, the federal government has a graduated income tax. This is the fairest system that you can have, not a flat tax, but a fair tax. So, that's my response, and I'm hopeful that people will see the benefits of, look at what's happened in other states. Minnesota is a great example where they put in a graduated income tax several years ago. They were able to not only pay down their debt, but pay down their pensions, and they balanced their budget. That's something that we ought to be able to do in the state of Illinois as well, and not put it on the backs of the middle class and the working class. They ought to get a tax break, and the wealthiest people in the state ought to pay a little bit more. Thank you very much, everyone.